audience at home. Welcome back to another episode of IELTS FACE-OFF. Now, it's quite rainy this season, don't you think? You know, you see Hanoi turning into a river. Saigon definitely is always a river for 8 hours a day. We're at a street crossroad and it becomes basically a river. How fun is that going to be? I think it's fun if you're about 3 to 4 years old. If you're about 30 years old, not so much fun. If you're afraid of skin disease, not so much fun. If you love fishing, maybe it's a bit fun, right? But when we think about being at crossroads and having multiple floodwaters and having everything thrown at you, sometimes it can be really difficult to make a decision and maneuver our way through all of the noise that's associated with all of these crossroads. Some people might call it basically quarter-life crisis. Some people might call it half-life crisis. Some people might call it always in crisis. I myself have had the opportunity and I think the luxury to go through quite a number of those crises in my life, and I've had to make some really difficult decisions. All of those are, I think, really important crossroads in my own personal life. And as we talk to each other today, hopefully we'll be able to learn about, you know, some of our guests' own personal crossroads as well as my own, and I'll definitely reflect. So if you've been at a crossroad in your life, you know, if you're going through quarter life, half life, or whatever life crisis, you know, rest assured that everybody's there with you, and we've all been through or are currently going through it ourselves as well. So we have a great episode today, guys. Let's have a look to see what his story is.
Hello IELTS FACE-OFF audience, my name is Thầy Thọ. I'm currently 26 years old. I graduated as a pharmacist in 2016 and I then moved to France to do a master in cancer biology. After that I returned to Vietnam and started to work as a lecturer at University of Medicine and Pharmacy in Ho Chi Minh City. In the same year, I also decided to make a career out of teaching English. Today I want to share with you about the turning points in my life where I have to make some important decisions.
Well, you know this guy, I love his name. It's Thọ in Vietnamese, and that means to live a long life. So let's see what are some of his tips to live a fulfilling and wonderful life. Thọ, come on out. Hello.
Hello.
Nice to see you. Have a seat.
Okay, thank you.
Well, okay, so let's talk about some of the things that I think is really interesting to me. You studied pharmacy in Vietnam, and then you went on to basically pursue a research career.
Yes.
Right, and that's really interesting because I myself did research for a number of years as well. So what is your journey, you know, from going from like this local university guy to this international exposed researcher?
Okay, so well, in my university year, I met a mentor who is a professor, and I happened to work with her on a project, a research project, and the time that I spent with her, it served as a fuel for my passion for research. So I continue on to find some scholarship to do research in a foreign country. So I got 2 grants. One is for to study the formulations of pharmaceuticals that is used on skin, and the other is for like cancer biology. And I chose the latter because I think it would be related to the work that I already done when I was in university. And a second reason is that there have been like heightening rates of cancer, so we need to put more efforts into researching cancer.
Do you call yourself a scientist? Do you call yourself a doctor? Do you call yourself a teacher? What do you call yourself?
I would call myself a junior scientist because I'm still in the process of learning. And I would say that I'm quite inexperienced when it comes to conduct research, and I still have to learn a lot. I'm planning to do a PhD in the future, and yeah, I do say that I would call myself a pharmacist as well, because I spent 5 years in pharmacy school. Also, I'm a lecturer at the university, so teaching is also a part of my life now.
You teach pharmacy and you teach, from my understanding, molecular biology, am I correct?
I teach pharmacology, which is a small branch of pharmacy.
And are the pharmacology students nice? Are they as kind as the medical students?
Yes, they do. They have to be kind to me because after all, I'm the lecturer. But it is a very difficult subject, which require you to read a lot and be knowledgeable enough to explain all the problems to your students if they have questions.
Now, why did you choose research instead of, just being there to mix drugs and to create drugs?
I think research is a fundamental thing and is necessary for development. When a new drug came out the market, they have to pass many rounds of clinical trials, and we have preclinical trials and then clinical trials, and these stages involve a lot of researchers with skills, experiences. There are not many people who is into research, so new drugs are not out in the market, and we cannot treat new diseases.
To be a scientist is not easy.
Yeah.
To learn science in Vietnam is also not easy.
Yes.
Can you just quickly compare your experience doing science in Vietnam and your experience doing science in a place like, for example, Montpellier, where you were?
Okay. So in Vietnam, the facilities are quite basic. You are quite limited to a few techniques, and you cannot do that much to study deeper into the subject. And when I was in Montpellier, I was exposed to some state-of-the-art technology, and it allowed me to conduct and have some concrete evidence for the subject that I'm studying. And so it's quite an eye-opening experience, I think.
Mm-hmm. I would say 3 key science principles
Yes.
that you can teach all of us here today, even for the people without a scientific background. What are those 3 principles that you're super passionate about, super easy to understand, and that's going to make people tick?
I think that being a researcher, you need to be organized. You also need to have a strong work ethic, I think, because being a researcher requires a lot of work. In order to carry out a research, you need to write a proposal to get some financial grant. And when you get the grant, then you have to plan your project, which experiments to do first, and then comes what, and you have to be prepared for some unexpected things that can happen. The last thing, I think maybe you need to have a passion for research. I think that you cannot continue a long journey doing research without loving it.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're going to open the floor later on so that the audience can also ask you some questions. But I'd like to go into your teaching experience, because not only do you speak Vietnamese and you teach Vietnamese students
Yes.
in science or in pharmacology, you also teach them English.
Okay.
And then you also know French. So you're very fluent in all of these 3 languages. How did you become so fluent in all of these languages?
So I'm more fluent in English than I am in French. I can only speak French on a quite intermediate level. But considering my process of learning English, I started to learn English when I was at quite a young age. And in university, I shifted my focus on French because I want to get a scholarship to study in France.
So how does it feel standing up there, teaching students English and pharmacology? You're a good-looking young lecturer. Do students focus in your class?
I don't know, but I have to say that I'm put under a constant pressure because I'm in the position that I need to perform and deliver every single time I'm in the lecture hall or in the classroom. So And I have to make sure that I keep myself updated with the knowledge that keep changing day by day. You know, every single day a drug can be out the markets. It's very easy to be outdated, so it's difficult. But these are the challenges that I'm willing to accept.
Well, as promised, I think we're going to give a bit of time for the audience to ask questions. Before the show today, I've asked them to think of a few difficult ones because I think there's no question you wouldn't be able to answer.
Okay,
so let's see how diverse the questions are. All right, audience, questions. Yes, we have one person. Yes, go ahead. What's your name and what's your question?
Nice to meet you. My name is Chang, and I really want to ask you that do you find confusing when you speak both English and French? I really like to learn many different languages, but I'm a bit scared.
That's a good question. At first, when I started to learn French, I was a little bit confused because you can easily mess up the pronunciation. You know, like the French and English, they have many words in common. The spelling is also the same, but the pronunciation is quite different. So when I was in class, my professor, my French teacher used to comment me that, like, Thor, you're speaking French like an American. That's not speak French because of my accent. So I'm trying my best to improve on my French accent as well as to put more effort into learning French.
She learned multiple different languages. How can she overcome the fear of being confused, or should she just accept?
I think confusion is like a natural thing that will happen if you learn two languages that have some similarities, but it will go away when you get comfortable with that. So go for it. I think that you should try to be multilingual, right?
Great advice. Do we have any other questions? All right, so there's a guy right behind Chang.
Hello, my name is Sun. I'm really impressed by what you have said about your life story and what you have achieved. So my question to you that to become what you are right now, do you have like a very strict timetable, a strict schedule that to remind you like what you need to accomplish in a day and how many hours you need to do it?
That's a good question too. I consider myself an unorganized person. I used to tell my friends that I tend to live in French style because I have a laid-back attitude. Like when I wake up, I need to take things kind of slowly. I need to have a cup of coffee and then my breakfast, and then after that I can get to work. But then when I'm at work, I will focus on my things. To achieve your goals, I think that you need to make a list of small goals that will get you there. And then you can step by step achieving the smaller goals, and then all of that will lead you to a bigger success later.
All right, that's great advice, Ta. Well, it's time for us to face off each other during the IELTS Face-Off Challenge. Are you ready?
Ready.
Well, today my contender is a really intelligent, very methodological, and super organized person in the IELTS Face-Off Challenge. Don't go anywhere. We're coming right back. Welcome back to IELTS Face-Off Challenge. And guys, we're all seated here because today's challenge is not physical. We're going to challenge each other to complete each other's sentences to hopefully create a meaningful, interesting, and good story. And I have the perfect sentences to challenge you.
Okay.
All right, so here goes the challenge. One of Vietnam's infectious diseases that we are really afraid of is dengue fever.
So dengue fever is a disease caused by virus.
Viruses can be scary, but they can also be cute.
So the cure for dengue is currently available.
Available men tend to have, I think, more dengue fever than available women because, because men don't care much about their skin, so they get bitten more often by mosquitoes, and therefore their chances of getting dengue fever is higher.
A higher number of people are get infected by dengue virus nowadays because of the atmosphere as well as of the environment in Vietnam currently. And so we need to have a campaign to tackle the situation.
Tackling the situation may not always be the best way to get to know somebody. For example, right now, I am tackling the problem of not knowing what cafe au lait is.
Cafe au lait is a specialty in Vietnam which would use condensed milk mixed with coffee, and then
Okay, so let's get the audience to be the judge. If you guys think our story was not interesting, give us a 2. If you think our story was interesting, give us a 10. So it's only 2 or 10. So audience, raise your fingers so we can tell you if we won or not. Is it a 2 or is it a 10? Well, the audience is really, really generous.
yes.
And for you guys at home, you can always play this game. It's a not difficult game to play at all. You know, you can start from really simple sentences, then you can go on to more complex sentences or some really complex sentences. So it's definitely a game to play after you've done studying, or you know, you've had a good night out with your friends. Thanks so much for coming. But before I let you go, of course, I do think that we'd love to hear your advice on basically an idiom or a vocabulary with regards to, you know, conquering odds and following what you like to do. What are some of those things that you would like to recommend? A word or a book or an idiom?
There's a phrase that I really like. When life gives you lemons, make lemonade. So lemons suggest sourness and difficulty that you have in life, and making lemonade is like turning the difficulty into something positive. So that's a nice phrase. I would like to introduce it for you guys.
Also, I guess your lemonade is very sweet.
Yeah.
Well, we've got more amazing things to offer. And guys, don't go anywhere because we know that you want to discover a part of Vietnam. And this is going to be an amazing, amazing section of IELTS On The Go. Don't go anywhere. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Hi studio, I'm Khánh Vy. I'm back on IELTS On The Go. I'm here in the most worth living place in Vietnam, Đà Nẵng city. What I love the most about the city is that it has so many undiscovered gems. And as you drive out a little bit of the city, you will find out something really astonishing and breathtaking. And here is that something, Sơn Trà Peninsula. But I have no idea about this place. This is my first time I've been here, so I think I must have a local tour guide, and that is Anh Ngọc.
Hello, Khánh Vy.
Hello, Anh.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great.
I'm great.
Yeah, thank you
Hi.
so much.
The audience of IELTS FACE-OFF, my name is Nguyễn Thanh Âu. So I'm a local people here. So today we take the audience and Khánh Vy to go some of spectacular places in Đà Nẵng city. It is here, Bàn Cờ Peak.
Bàn Cờ Peak.
Yes.
The highest point.
Yeah, the highest point of
peninsula.
Yeah.
So we should move
Okay,
here.
move here.
So that we could be on the top.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
It's so refreshing.
Yeah, so refreshing.
It's really cool, right?
Yeah, yeah, amazing.
I heard that Đà Nẵng is famous for a species that is langur, right?
Yeah, it is very famous species. It is very rare, and if you are fortunate enough, I think we will see them.
I mean, I love animals, so I
Yeah,
think we
me
should
too.
give it a try.
Okay, let's go.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
If you have a chance to pay a visit to Đà Nẵng, one of the most well-known tourist attractions you should consider to go is the Linh Ứng Pagoda, which is the largest pagoda of scale and artistic architecture. It acquires a reputation for the huge statue of Lady Buddha that is 67 meters in height. Linh Ứng Pagoda features perfect harmony between the modern and traditional architectures of Vietnam pagodas, especially in the three ancient gates, the main chamber, and the ancestor's house. This pagoda is located on the Central Peninsula, which is a tranquil and serene mountainous area. So if you go there, you can easily escape from the hustle and bustle of the city and explore yourself as much as you like. Besides, the Linh Ứng Pagoda has become a place of worshipping, living, and studying of monks, Buddhists, as well as a sightseeing place of tourists from far directions, an attractive spiritual tourist destination of Đà Nẵng city where meeting the heaven of sacred air and people's heart.
Đà Nẵng is such a beautiful city along the coastline. You can see the modernity, you can see the nature, or you could even come here to this pagoda to find your religious belief and seek spiritual values. What do you think about this journey?
I think this journey is very amazing, and if you haven't come to Đà Nẵng yet, I think you should come to Đà Nẵng in this summer vacation, and I think that you will have the best summer vacation in your life because Đà Nẵng is such a beautiful city. It has a lot of natural landscapes, and you will have an amazing trip in this summer vacation. I highly recommend that you should come here this summer vacation.
We love you, Đà Nẵng. We love you so much. See you later.
See you later. Bye.
Well, Đà Nẵng has become a lot more beautiful under the lens and under the story and experience of Khánh Vy. And I think it's a perfect place to end off our Wednesday section in our Wednesday episode. And if you're at a crossroad in your life, what do you think about? How would you maneuver your next steps and your next path? Are you afraid? Are you scared? Or are you excited about what to come? I do think that whenever we're at a position where we have to make decisions, one of the things that we need to do for ourselves is to be able to make an informed decision, and this means gathering all the information and all of the advice that we can from the people with the intelligence and with the judgment that we trust. Of course, I trust a lot of my loved ones, I trust my friends, and I trust, of course, the IELTS FACE-OFF crew as well as you guys. And I trust that you will also join us again this Saturday. Well, this Saturday, we're going to continue what we've been talking about during today and make sure that when you're at the crossroad of deciding what you're going to be doing for your weekend, you choose IELTS FACE-OFF as one of your decisions. So we'll see you again soon, and don't go anywhere. Ciao, ciao, ciao!